insurance could be going to someone you don't want it to go to.
Make those calls because it is important. This is your money. This is your future. This is who will get all your money when you die. And that is important.
Divorce can be emotionally and financially overwhelming. That's why I'm teaming up with Sunny Wishart, president and founder of A la Carte Financial and a certified financial planner. We will show you how to understand all things money without feeling ashamed, overwhelmed, embarrassed. You will learn more, ask questions. No question is a dumb question. Welcome to Money with Sunny. Let's get into it.
Good morning, everyone. Today I'm here with Sunny. This is Money with Sunny. How are you doing today, Sunny?
I'm good. How you doing, Wendy?
I'm great. Today we're going to talk about financial uncoupling, and we're going to talk about the documents that you may be signed on jointly with your spouse right now, where you may want to remove yourself from prior to your divorce. So some things to consider, things to think about. We're here to provide you with information and help you to move through this transition as efficiently as possible. So I'm going to hand it over to Sunny because she is the expert. Let's talk about beneficiaries and documents where our watcher may be on right now, such as the will, insurance policies, and how they can go about removing themselves from these documents, or if they should remain on the documents. And you're working with women all the time. What do you think?
Yeah, that's something I do scrutinize in the process. Is I'll receive statements, and I always go straight to who's the beneficiary on file on all their plans. So it could be anywhere from life insurance, disability insurance, and don't forget all your work plans. I find it often swept under the rug is all the work plans being offered, because there could be pension plans, savings plans, and insurance policies all covered by your work. And often there are. So to make sure you lay eyes on all those things and where's your money going. If you're smack dab in the middle of separation, likely not much you can do at that time until it's all decided and said and done who gets what assets, and who oftentimes, if you have minor children, there are certain policies that have to stay into place to each other to make sure you're if you pass that an insurance policy goes to the ex-spouse to cover whatever goals you have for your kids. So if you're smack dab in the middle of transition, maybe just do a list at this time of what do I own, or what do we own, and what do we owe, and who's on what. So, because there could be assets that are joint and there could be liabilities that are joint, and to make sure that all of those get uncoupled appropriately in the end, and nothing is left kind of nagging behind or forgotten. Usually, when you're doing the separation process, you have to list this regardless. So just don't forget to look at those work policies too, because there's insurance in there, or a little disability coverage, or usually disability just goes to you, but insurance could be going to someone you don't want it to go to.
Okay, so if you have an insurance policy with your spouse right now, who should you be contacting to discuss whether you keep that insurance policy or transfer it to you or transfer it to him, or how do you go about that process?
So just the transactional process, it depends on who the owner is. So when you set up a life insurance policy, there can be an owner, the life that's insured, and the beneficiary. There's three components. So the owner is the one who can make the changes. If you're just the beneficiary on file, you can't go in and change it. So if whatever you own is what you can just call the company that has issued the policy and request a beneficiary update, and they just send you a form that you sign and send back. It's really easy.
So if you're the beneficiary on the policy, that's fine. You can keep
Good
that.
for you.
That's right. You can keep that the same. So just leave that alone. That's right. And so the thing to consider then is if you're the owner of the policy, you want to make sure that the beneficiary is someone. You can leave it as your spouse and soon to be ex-spouse if that's what you choose, or you can transfer it to a child or a parent or a friend or a grandparent or whoever you want. Something to consider. Now, how about when it comes to your will?
So that it depends on how you set up your will, but making changes to a will are super straightforward. Well, depending on how complicated your finances are, but you would just do some updates on it. You don't usually have to revamp the whole thing. Just make sure that your beneficiaries of who you want to receive. And then you have to update things like your power of attorneys for health, like care, and financial. So you have to make sure that those are someone you'd like on file as well. So if you end up in an accident and you're in the hospital and you can't speak for yourself, they're going to trigger this power of attorney for care. And that person's going to step in, and you're going to hope that that's not your ex.
Right. So make sure you read that document, get that sorted out. So we have insurance policies, will, work insurance policies, and pension plans. Is there anything that I'm missing?
With all of your assets, registered assets, RSPs, TFSAs, anything that can hold a beneficiary, you can have like locked in retirement accounts, the LIRAs, and those are usually old pensions from an old place you worked. So you want to make sure that you have a beneficiary on file for those. They're oftentimes your spouse, because in Canada, when you pass, all that stuff can just slide over to your spouse tax sheltered. So you want to remove that and make that whoever it may be. And do be sure things like making your beneficiary your estate. That's not an amazing idea either, because then all your assets go to your estate and then it's estate taxes. So the bigger your estate, bigger the taxes. So things like life insurance policies, you want to make sure those are paying out to your kids or your sister or whatever, or your church. I don't know, you can make them donations. But if you put estate in there, and I've seen that, then all of a sudden that tax-free insurance money gets paid to your estate and is subject to estate taxes.
Okay. Okay. So then we have the RSPs, the LIRAs, the RESPs. Is there anything else?
The TFSA, not
TFSA?
RESPs are for the kids.
So that
So
goes
the-
straight to the kids. The beneficiary is the children,
Yes.
right? Okay, great. And anything else people should be considering when it comes to beneficiaries?
Well, I made sure don't be estate. No, I think just making sure you know who they are and that they're up to date. They get outdated surprisingly before you know it. Similar to a will, I'm more surprised when someone tells me they have an updated will than when they don't. And it's just wherever your will is held, it's just a call there to make the changes. I think they call them codicils or something when you update them. And they can just put a little like appendix in there, like, this is what we want to do now.
Right, right. I'm just making a note to myself, update my will. Okay, there we go. I have to do that too. Yeah, okay, all right. So beneficiaries, make sure that you have your beneficiaries in order. You know where your money is going when you die. And I have one more question. When can we make these changes to the beneficiaries? Can we do it before the divorce is finalized, during the transition, at any time?
If you're the owner of either the registered investment or the insurance policy, you can make that change. Unless there's some agreement you're in the throes of, so legal decisions will trump this. But if nothing has been settled, it's totally up in the air, and you're like, I don't care how this money is getting split. I don't want them getting all of it if I pass tomorrow. You go ahead and you change them as the owner. That's in every right. Your beneficiaries don't have to be your spouse on file. It's just for some things, it's just a tax strategy. That's the main reason they do it. So as the owner, and if you don't have any other agreements, like if in the separation agreement it says XYZ, you have to follow that. But if none of that is in place yet, you go ahead and you change them.
Great. And what if you're the joint owner with your husband, your spouse?
So with things like registered investments, you can't be joint. And things like insurance policies, you may have a joint first to die or joint last to die policy. That's something that policy will just be no good anymore if you decide like it, that's how it works. Joint first to die. If you're the first of the spouse of the person insured couple to die, that money pays out to the other person. You can leave that in place or you can cancel the policy. You can't change the beneficiary because it's your spouse.
Mm.
But everything else that is joint is going to be something like your house, your debt, and non-registered investments can be joint as well. They don't have beneficiaries. Can't have one on file.
Okay, super. Well, I think this has been a great informative conversation around beneficiaries. So get that in order. I know you have a long list of things to do, everyone. It's a lot right now, but just put beneficiaries down on your list and make those calls because it is important. This is your money. This is your future. This is who will get all your money when you die. And that is important. Thanks for being here today. Thanks, Sunny. It's been great. And we will be back again next week.